Now, Sean Spicer, Senior Advisor for America First Action and former White House Press Secretary, of course, under President Trump, and Richard Fowler, national syndicated radio talk show host and a Fox News contributor. Happy New Year to both of you.
Happy New Year,
Happy New Year, Ed.
Richard, there's this fight among Democrats, obviously. Your front runner, Joe Biden, is trailing Bernie Sanders in the money race, but all of them are trailing the president.
Well, look, number one, I don't think it's a fight. We're just having a primary contest. That's what happens. And if you look at Bernie Sanders,
It's not a fight.
It's a primary contest. We're trying to figure out who the nominee is going to be. This is what happens. If you look at if you tabulate back of the envelope math on Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden's numbers, they both outraised. If you put those together, they outraised the president. If you add Pete Buttigieg to that, they definitely outraised the president this quarter. And that's because we have multiple candidates in the field versus one Republican candidate. That's what this is all about. But remember, this is not going to be just about fundraising. This is about who can talk to voters, who can convince them to go out and vote for them, and most importantly, who can convince people in swing states that they are the best candidate in this race.
Sure, and let me bring in Sean. I mean, Richard, if you added up 15, 16 people, it'll be more than the president. But the president himself has $100 million in the bank, right, Sean?
So I think that there's something that Richard said that's actually spot on. I mean, it's not just about the money. It's talking to swing voters. It's talking to people that make up the constituent and electorate that will be important this cycle. Here's the thing. While those candidates are running a primary campaign, trying to win states like Iowa and New Hampshire and focusing on Super Tuesday, the president and his team have been focused on the general election, on those swing state voters in places like Michigan, Pennsylvania. So here's the important thing. For the first time in history, you have this political triad. You have the campaign and the RNC integrated and coordinated in a way that's never been done before, focused on the general election. And then you have us at America First Policies and PAC that are flying overhead, supporting the president's allies, policies, and re-election campaign, and providing that support in a way that has never happened in terms of those three entities focused on a general election this early. And I think that is going to be an advantage digitally and on the ground that will give a huge advantage to the president and his team in those final few months.
Right.
They can't catch up to the ground game and the digital game that this team has on the field.
Richard, I'll give you a quick chance to respond to that, and I've got to follow.
Sure. Listen, I think that's wishful thinking. Here's what we know. Since Donald Trump has taken office, Republicans have had to compete in 12 governor's races. And in those 12 governor's races, they lost most of them. Same goes for the midterm election, right? They had to defend the House. They lost control of the House. So under Donald Trump, their ground game that Sean talks about has not been remarkable.
Okay, he's going to be on the ballot this time, which will be a big difference. But I want to get back to your claim a moment ago, Richard, that this is not a fight. They're just having a little contest. This just came in from the campaign trail a few moments ago. Bernie Sanders, quote, "It's just a lot of baggage that Joe, as in Joe Biden, takes into a campaign, which is not going to create energy and excitement. He brings into this campaign a record which is so weak that it just cannot create the kind of excitement and energy that is going to be needed to defeat Donald Trump." Sounds like a fight. Sounds like Bernie Sanders is not sold on your front runner.
Listen, Bernie Sanders shouldn't be sold on our front runner. We want to have a very, very, very good contest, right? We want to have a debate about ideas. We want to figure out who's the best candidate to represent the Democratic Party going against this president. What we do know is since the beginning of this race, Joe Biden and Bernie has been at the top of these polls, and so the fact that these two individuals are exchanging blows or exchanging barbs shows that this is a healthy primary. That this is a debate about ideas and which of our candidates will do the best job to work for middle-class families, the best job in lowering the cost of prescription drugs, the best job in making early childhood more affordable.
Sean,
these are all things that voters care about.
Yeah, I would just say, here's the problem. We don't need to have a debate about ideas. We have a debate about accomplishment.
On prescription drugs, we do, Sean, because the president's record.
Richard, I'd let you talk.
Give me a chance,
please. Richard, I think in 2016 we had this theoretical debate about the president's policies versus a hypothetical Hillary Clinton's policies. Now we have a record of results. If you look at the economy, how many people are working, the growth in the economy, people going back to work, manufacturing, the military budget plussed up, veterans getting the care that they deserve. This president is going to the American people with a record of results saying, if you like what you see, let's keep the ball rolling. If you want to go to the far left and embrace socialism, go for it. Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden or Elizabeth Warren's fine.
I'm glad you brought up a record of results because, as I remember, this president promised to be a nuclear-free North Korea, and that's not the case. He promised that he would bring peace to the Middle East, and now we have a situation brewing in Iran. Not to mention the fact that right back here at home, there are retirees going back to work because they cannot afford the price of their insulin, and this White House has done nothing about it.
Okay, no fighting here, just a friendly contest between some friends. Sean and Richard, appreciate you coming in.
Good to see you.
All right, still ahead.
Thanks, Ed.